With any luck, the picture quality of today's video will be at the very least half decent. This being the final expansion, a vast majority of players of DLC 4 are the absolute sweatiest of tryhards, making it very difficult to capture a gameplay. After maybe 2 hours of absolute failure, I decided, nope, I'm done. I'm turning off my HDCP, going back to Netflix to chill and relax for a little bit. Finally decided, alright, we're going back, we're going to get this gameplay, I'm going to make this video. I may have forgot to switch back my HDCP when rebooting Infinite Warfare. Now if you didn't know, without HDCP being toggled off, my capture card doesn't work. So instead I had to capture today's gameplay with PlayStation 4 Share. Now when you're watching PlayStation 4 Share on the PlayStation 4 itself, it looks like garbage. The lowest resolution, not even high definition. Hopefully my editing process can boost that signal, boost the audio-visual quality of today's video. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the audio-visual, the picture quality of today's video, as there may be another video I've planned for the future that I might have made the same mistake on, so I may have to re-record that one if this one is too garbage. But without further ado, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV. Almost a week, maybe a little over a week since its official release on PlayStation 4. In today's video, my review of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare DLC 4, Retribution. Now see, I've been through so many different Call of Duty games, so many different DLC expansions, that a lot of these names start to mean nothing to me. Retribution, Sabotage, I can't even remember any of the other ones. But when I have to research the name, when I have to go back and keep looking at advertisements to remember the name of the DLC, you know that's not a good sign. I had to look up Retribution 3 or 4 times before I was entirely sure it was actually called Retribution. And that's because the marketing campaign for DLC 4 this time around was absolutely abhorrent. DLC 3 had a fairly good marketing ploy. DLC 4, not so much. DLC 4, DLC 3, it is to be expected that the marketing isn't going to be as top-notch. The DLC isn't going to be as top-notch. This is the time when most players are stepping away from Call of Duty. The vast majority of the audience is playing other summer titles. They're preparing for the next Call of Duty game. Therefore, it is to be expected that DLC 3, DLC 4 are not to be as popular as previous DLC expansions in the Call of Duty season. I know some of you may bring up Call of Duty Black Ops 3 DLC 5 Chronicles, but that was an utter phenomenon in and of itself. There has never been a DLC 5, and there likely will never be a DLC 5 in the future. That was a Zombies exclusive DLC for Black Ops 3, bringing back the most popular Zombies maps from the Zombies campaign throughout Treyarch's lifespan as a Call of Duty developer. Treyarch developers today could never hope to replicate or develop a successor to anything so massive, and so it's kind of a no-brainer that Chronicles was going to be an incredibly popular DLC. For the most part though, DLC 3, DLC 4, it's always up to 2 options. The first, throw in the towel. The second, let's go out with a bang. Unfortunately for Infinity Ward, it looks like Infinite Warfare chose the former option, especially in terms of the multiplayer maps. Now coming full circle to Zombies, the Beast from Beyond multiplayer Zombies experience was surprisingly, well, it was interesting to say the least, but it was surprisingly popular among Zombies fans. Now, of course, if you're a Zombies player in Infinite Warfare in any Call of Duty title, you're likely going to be buying all of the DLC anyways, as that's the only way to expand your experience. You get more multiplayer maps, more weapons, more Easter eggs to do. So with Zombies, it's a no-brainer. If you're playing Zombies, you're likely buying this DLC, especially because it now includes a cross-Zombies Easter egg experience. So now you can collect soul keys from doing the Easter eggs in each of the existing maps and use those keys to, I think there's a final boss fight or there's a final Easter egg across them all. There's special modes that unlock for Zombies. Very intense stuff. The Zombies experience is on point. Beast from Beyond is interesting to say the least. We've got Call of Duty Ghosts Extinction Aliens meets Infinite Warfare Zombies. It's cool. I'm not the biggest fan because I'm not a big zombies fan to begin with, but it's pretty cool. However, when it comes to multiplayer maps, DLC 4 Retribution is quite easily the worst expansion for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and one of the worst in the Call of Duty franchise as a whole, at least in my opinion. These maps blow. Very bland color schemes, very restricted map flow due to horrendous spawns and broken mechanics, not to mention the way that these maps were so lazily put together. The 4 maps we have available to us in DLC 4, Heartland, Depot 22, Carnage, and Altitude, or as I like to refer to them as, the one from Ghosts, the one where you can't wall run, the one where you can't mantle, and that other one that's entirely too forgettable. These maps, they suck. The first, Heartland, a modified Z map, don't think about it too hard as I couldn't find the Z either, marks the return of Warhawk from Ghosts, a simulation of Americana for tourists to experience the past. Now, why would they bring back Warhawk? It was one of the most plain maps from Ghosts. I realized that it was very popular, but it was so grounded. There's really nowhere to use your advanced movement on Warhawk, apart from jumping up and into windows. There were tons of better options for a map to return from Ghosts. They just chose this one because it's popular, hoping that people would see this and say, I love that map in Ghosts, I'm buying the DLC. Depot 22, last stop watering hole at the end of civilization. Depot 22 is a medium-sized 3-lane map that focuses on medium-ranged encounters. Not exactly. Depot 22 is like a big maze of corners everywhere. And not to mention the fact that you can't wall run on anything. You're trying to wall run on very flat, very plain walls that should be there to wall run on, and it just doesn't work. There are a ton of times that I've been killed on this map when trying to wall run on something that I should be able to wall run on that I can't. Because they just didn't want to put in the extra effort to put that surface there for us. With Carnage, post-apocalyptic rally race along the Northern California coast, long sightlines and environmental hazards are at the forefront of this figure 8 map. This map is probably the most popular of the 4. I see it voted in a lot. Don't know why. There are traps and stuff on the map that you can activate that nobody gets killed by because they suck. And it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For the longest time, I was unsure of what this map was until I read the description. A post-apocalyptic rally race? What? It's a silly map, and it's very confusing at first. There are so many little elements, so many different aspects to this map that are in the back corner that you never use. That's a great explanation for the next map as well. Altitude, high-end shopping mall on the edge of the universe, quick flank routes frame a chaotic center in this medium-sized map. More like a large-sized map, it's a friggin' huge map. You'll be running around for a good minute before you find anyone, especially if you're doing the stealth thing, trying to flank them. And then they'll all spawn right next to you instead of spawning on the other side of this friggin' huge map. Basically, I'm not the biggest fan of these maps, guys. I really don't care for them, and I'm getting away from this DLC 4 playlist as fast as I can when I'm done making this video. I was playing for quad feed XP, but at that point, that was all I was playing for. I was trying to get some keys, and now that I'm done, I would say do not buy DLC 4 unless you're a zombies player. The maps suck. And it was clearly Infinity Ward throwing in the towel at the end of their pretty low-key experiment, Infinite Warfare. Wasn't that great? A lot of people complain about Infinite Warfare, and it's clear that they're just like, let's just get this done and move on. Speaking of moving on, hit the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I'll be back with another video tomorrow, or maybe even later today as I missed an upload yesterday. I'll catch you guys on the next one.